Time once again for the Kaufman Corner podcast with you as always. David Lesky from Inside the Crown, Les Norman from Breaking the Norm, and of course former Royals outfielder. My name is Soren Petro from Sports Radio 810 WHB. The fences are coming in. I say hallelujah. I loved it when they brought them in before. Hated it when they took them out. We're going to talk about it. What is the point right now at doing this? Who are the biggest winners and losers? Free agents, are they going to like it? Does this change what type of pitcher you're looking for? How about the outfielders? You know, their job just got harder. They don't know the walls, right? They're not really going to get a chance to figure it out near as we can tell. We'll talk about that. Les has a personal experience with them changing the walls and what that does. Is this being done just to alleviate the importance of the corner outfield defense? How about not moving in center field? How many home runs do they hit? We're going to make a prediction on that as well. We're doing it all right here, right now on the Kaufman Corner podcast.
You're listening to the Kaufman Corner Podcast, the most in-depth analysis of the Kansas City Royals, breaking down the Royals like no one else can. Kaufman Corner is hosted by David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro. David Lesky is an accomplished author and the publisher of the Inside the Crown Royals baseball newsletter. Les Norman is a former Royals outfielder. He's the host of Breaking the Norm with Les Norman on Sports Radio 810 WHB, as well as the author of Teaching the Tools of Hitting. Soren is the award-winning afternoon drive host of the program on Sports Radio 810 WHB in Kansas City. Kaufman Corner is proudly brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete, Kansas City's nationally recognized full-service paving and pavement maintenance contractor, making parking lot problems disappear in Kansas City since 1994. Free consultations, no commissions, in-house crews, and every project comes with a written warranty. Find them online at GannAsphalt.com or call 816-484-3338. Gann Asphalt and Concrete, one contractor, all things parking lot. Now, here are your hosts, David Lesky, Les Norman, and Soren Petro.
And thank you very much, Curtis. We do appreciate it. How about it? The fences are coming in. Oh, what do you make of it, David? Why this? Why now?
Well, I think the why this, it's funny because I feel like there's two viewpoints that are completely opposite of each, well, not completely opposite of each other, but different from each other. One is people, they got to get more offense. They're going to bring the fences in. They're going to hit more home runs. And the other is what I think is the reality is that they saw Kauffman Stadium as an outlier, as an extreme park, and they thought it was hurting them over the 162. So they could build to a stadium that worked for 81, but that doesn't work for most of the other stadiums for the other 81. So you make it a little more neutral, which really this is not a drastic change. I think it's a change. It is not a drastic one, and mostly because they're not bringing center field in with it. But by doing this, it makes it a more neutral park. And I've talked to, I don't even know how many people now. It's more than 3. 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there.
More than 3. I love like you think it's going to be dozens, hundreds. I've talked to I don't know how many people. I mean, more than 3.
Well, I can't. If it's probably more than 5 because I can't count on. I need a second hand, and I'm usually busy writing something. But a lot of people have said, "Hey, it's really difficult for a team to be built for an extreme park and then do something elsewhere." And so, like one example I heard from a good baseball friend of mine was, "Hey, Noah Cameron gives up a 382-foot fly ball to Jose Ramirez in Kansas City, throws that same pitch in Cleveland, and it's 12 rows back." It changes your process, and it allows you to be a little more streamlined in your process. So I think that's why they did it. I think there are some ancillary benefits. I also think that why now? Because they only have 5 more years left in Kauffman Stadium, and they can actually build a stadium to the team they have right now and not worry about the team 5 years from now because they're not going to be there. And so I think that it makes it real easy to make a quote unquote mistake because they can fix it really fast.
Les, why? What do you think?
Man,
have you talked to more than 3 people?
Yes, I have. Yeah. Quite a few more than that. Mostly answering questions, not breaching the topic myself.
Right.
It started with a levy of text messages, if that's the right word or whatever. So
bevy, I think maybe.
Bevy, that it?
That's what you're looking for? Yeah.
A lot of text
messages. More than
Amen.
3.
Many text messages. So those are all great points. I think part of it too. I don't think that this is a reason, but I think it factors in that we didn't get a big bop and home run guy. I mean, it might be just a small, tiny part of it, but this team does need some help in that area. We just the fences are too big for the way this roster, as far as power goes. I mean, you still have Vinny, you still have Salvi, but Salvi's not going to probably go back to his 50 home run time that he did a couple years ago, and so I think that's part of it. I think that another part of it too, again, it may not be a reason why, but it factors in of maybe it's a situation where you're trying to appease some fans a little bit, because there are some people that are disgruntled. I've talked to a lot of people that continue to ask me about where's the stadium going. I don't know where it's going. I don't think a lot of people do know where it's going, but then they're mad that it is going, and so maybe that'll add part of the increased fandom because they only have 5 years left in the stadium. So all of David's answers, and then plus maybe a couple little outliers on the Y side. Anytime you do that, the excitement of maybe more home runs is a big deal for fans. Will it happen? Who knows? I mean, I know as a hitter, if I would go to a ballpark, whether it was, I didn't hit any big league home runs, I didn't have that many at bats, and interestingly enough, I flew out to the warning track quite a few times in the big leagues, and so maybe this would have helped me. Darn it! But
You're a 10-year big leaguer if these SOBs to put these fences for you, right?
I might be doing this as like the oldest player in the big leagues right now, at almost 57. Who knows? Get that long swing and just lift it. So I just know that when you go to a park, whether it's high school, college, minor leagues, big leagues, wherever, if you're a legitimate player and you go to a park and you see that the fences are short, if you let that get into your head, it's going to change your swing. If you think about it, yeah, you're going to recognize it and see it as a hitter, but then you got to get that out of your head, because as soon as you start trying to do stuff like that, you don't do stuff like that, and you mess your swing up, you put yourself in a slump. So, I agree with David, plus maybe a couple more little
Yeah.
side pieces there.
Let me add. I mean, I do think it's a revenue generator too. I mean, let's talk about that. I mean, these are. I think that's the part everyone's talking about, the baseball part, but for the ball club, and I think for the fans, it means some nice seats, and I think they should be. Listen, I don't know that anything's affordable these days. When I get the check for dinner, I'm like,
Yeah.
I remember what this used to be. Come on now. I know I've become that guy, so I'll sit in my rocking chair with my blanket on my lap in July for my afternoon sit. I get it, but I think they'll be fairly affordable based upon what, certainly based on national baseball prices. All Royals prices are very affordable compared to national baseball prices, but some good seats right down there on the front row of the outfield with a lowered wall at 8 feet, drink rails, which I think is nice to be able to set your hot dog on or set your popcorn on, or your beer or your soda or what have you. I mean, I think that's going to be nice. You see, those are just kind of nice little amenities. So there'll be more. It's a way to charge more, certainly, for some outfield seats, but now you're going to be down even closer to the action. So it's a good business decision. I think they're good seats, fun seats for the fans to sit in. So I think that's exciting. And listen, I love the fact that the ball can go over the wall more. I mean, people love the triple. They love it more than I do. I mean, and this Andy Rogers piece where the Royals are 186 in park effect on triples. So like they're 86 points over average, while they're like singles and they're above in singles and doubles, but triples are where this is like the triples park. And, that's great, but they're still they are exciting, but there's still not very many of them. So whatever enjoyment you get out of the triple, even in a triples park, there's not that many of them. If you are going to add, as Daniel Mack said, 1 home run per series, I mean, that to me is going to benefit the excitement level more. And to me, it's a huge positive. I mean, people have heard me babble about this forever, so I don't want to spend too much time on it because I'll go on and be redundant. But who are the winners? Who are the losers in this? Who's the big, David? You got a big winners or losers in this category?
Well, first of all, I looked it up because I was curious. Friday night, April 3rd. So Friday night game, that section 103, which is one of the home run boxes right now, $35 a ticket. So yes, affordable. Okay. They'll probably charge more with the new seat, but I mean, at the starting point, 35, 45? That's an affordable way to get into a ball game. It's still not cheap, but it's affordable. Anyway, winners and losers. Yeah. I mean, I think also real quick to the point, and I think this is part of the winner. Bobby Witt Jr. can still get triples because I think it's really important that they left center field where it was for this park, because I think bringing it into 400 all the way around, or 410 feet all the way around, I think makes it too much of a hitter's park, especially in the summer, because the ball does fly at Kauffman Stadium in the summer. It still allows for you to say Bobby Witt Jr.'s athleticism can play, Michael Garcia's athleticism can play on balls up the middle. and they do hit a lot of balls up the middle. I think Witt's a big beneficiary though, because he hits some tape measure home runs. He does, but also he's not the biggest guy. He's very strong, but he's not the biggest guy. And I looked it up in 2024. I counted anywhere. I watched the videos. It wasn't just like looking at spray charts. 10 to 13 home runs. I mean, you could make a case for 14 or 15. I chose to be a little more conservative, but if you had 10 home runs, he hits 42 in 2024. Does he win the MVP? Does he have a 40-40 season and win the MVP? I think so. And so I think he's a really big winner there. Vinny Pasquantino is obviously a big winner. I'll give you a surprise winner, and that's if he's on the team. It's Michael Massey. He has decent power, which allows him to, in a good year, if he plays 140 games, he's going to hit 15 to 18 home runs. He has a lot of, I was looking at the spray charts. He has a lot of balls to the warning track, to the wall, right center field, just to the left of the corner, where it comes in all the way. Just for a visual, if you haven't seen it, they are replacing everything from the start of the auxiliary board in right and left center field all the way through the bullpen fence, from what I can tell. And he has a lot of balls that just fall short of that bullpen fence. and I think you could look at 5-6 home runs for him if he plays 140 games, which it turns him from a 15 home run hitter to a 20 home run hitter. And a lot of those are outs because he doesn't hit the ball that hard. So they're fly balls that just die. Like Bobby Witt Jr., I looked, a lot of his home runs were doubles. He doesn't add a lot of batting average. I think Michael Massey could add 15 points of average, 10 to 15 points of average with this, because it'll help play to his power a little bit better. Plus, if he's in left field, less to cover, I think that helps too. Loser, Seth Lugo to me is the biggest loser. Michael Wacha I thought would be. I looked it up, not as much as I expected. And Carlos Estevez gives up a lot of fly balls. He doesn't give up a lot of deep ones, but I don't know that that's sustainable. So I'd be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, I think everybody, some of the guys that benefit are all the aging players. I mean, I remember talking to Carlos Beltran his last year, and it's like, talking about free agency, and when he said, well, Scott says, you steal bases, do everything when you're young, then you hit home runs when you're older. Well, part of it is you lose your legs. And I think this is an acknowledgement of the Royals. If they do plan on, if you're going to turn and burn every player and no one's ever going to get a second contract, then you're probably going to be putting athletic players out there. But if you're going to put iconic players out there, everybody's defensive numbers go down. Everybody starts to lose their legs. They can still hit, and what usually goes up is their power. And this will play more. This will help Salvador Perez age better, right? And when Bobby Witt quits stealing bases and power becomes more the part of his game, which just comes with filling out and getting older and getting stronger, this is going to benefit Bobby Witt Jr. as he ages, if you plan on having him for a long time. Those are some of the guys that I think that's a category of guys I think is going to benefit. Who do you like to be better or worse in this, Les?
Yeah, I agree with both of you, so I won't repeat those points. I feel like in the Michael Massey vein, some of the marginal hitters, I mean, it does help Massey because he's a pop-up guy. I've railed on the fact that he hits way too many fly balls, not just fly balls, but pop-ups. If they're fly balls, this will benefit him. But say Jack Caglione comes back and he's still not what everybody else thinks he is. He's better contact, but he's still maybe not as solid because they're revamping. I mean, who knows? He could have an all-star year. We don't know. But based on what we've seen, Jack Caglione is strong enough, at least until he figures it out, that he could muscle balls when a fence is 10 feet closer. I mean, he could just do that. That's going to add to it. You've got your guys that are already going to hit the home runs. And I think that, Carter Jensen's going to be a guy that's going to hit a lot of home runs just because of his mechanics and how hard he hits the ball. So I think even a Kyle Isbell might hit 5 to 7 more home runs over the course of a season. And who wouldn't want that? I mean, any marginal player on the Royals that are not home run guys or still haven't figured it out yet, or somebody you might have to call up or whatever it may be, especially one of the new guys in Collins that you sign, that's a good thing. So I think those guys are going to benefit. I think the other benefit is just going to be, like we talked about a little bit, is the fans. The fans are going to be so excited when a ball scrapes over the wall that would have been a regular out, or Isbell would have caught in stride in the gap last time. That's going to be huge. And the talk is already starting about, hey, there's going to be more home runs. Let's get our tickets. And who else is going to benefit? The Royals, because people are going to want to go see more home runs. People are going to want to go sit in those cool seats. So there's a big benefit all around.
Yeah, I think. By the way, I love this. You mentioned the fans. Our buddy Renee from Italian Delight, because Hosmer's triple should have been a home run. If you go look at the photo of that in the postseason, it's that jerky who's reaching out for the ball. It's our buddy Renee, he was out there that was trying to get the ball. So that's a personal moment that he's putting out there. He's also a fan of your hat, Les, which we were talking about beforehand. Who's the hat? So if anybody else is scouting it.
Yeah, it's my son's college team. It's Calvary University out in the Belton area, and you can go to just like Calvary. The website, I think it's calvary.org or edu, maybe. Might be both, but yeah, I think they have them for sale on there. But we just got, these are one of the game hats that we wear, so it's the Calvary Warriors.
Yeah, very nice. And I know that he is a man of many hats. So when Renee gives you that compliment, you're getting a compliment from a guy who likes his hats. That's for sure. All right, we want to get into what this is going to do for free agency. A lot of the other meanings that we're going to get from this over the long haul. We'll do it after you hear from our friends at Frontier Justice.
This episode of Kaufman Corner is brought to you by Frontier Justice, where freedom is a lifestyle grounded in safety, responsibility, and respect. With locations in Lee's Summit, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, and Jenks, Oklahoma, Frontier Justice offers firearms retail, a premier indoor shooting range, and training all under one roof. Whether you're new to shooting or a seasoned pro, you'll find expert staff, top-tier gear, and a strong sense of community. Faith, family, freedom. That's what Frontier Justice stands for. Visit frontier-justice.com to learn more.
Green Light Dispensary, voted Kansas City's best dispensary and your go-to for quick, convenient service. With 4 locations across the Kansas City area, we're never far away. Our drive-through and express windows make it easy to get in, get out, and get on with your day. Our award-winning service is powered by a team of experts dedicated to making your experience seamless and enjoyable. It's no wonder we've been voted the best. Convenient locations, fast service, knowledgeable staff. That's the Green Light difference. Visit us today.
All right, let's talk about what it's going to do for free agency. Is this going to, Les, if you were being wooed by a team, how much would you be looking at the park? How much do you think that'll matter to guys when they look at their numbers? We know Vinny Pasquantino already, he put out a Twitter message about what he thought about it headed into arbitration and what it was going to do to his offensive numbers, which I loved how versed he was in the numbers and what it was going to mean for his arbitration case on down the road. What do you think it does for players want to be here?
I think it's a big deal. I mean, we think way back we talked about the signings of Lugo and Waka and why the re-signings would happen, and that people actually want to stay here, even though it's a small market. It's a great place to live, and education and food and ease of travel, from the center of the country going out, and it's easy for families to kind of, stay a little bit closer together during a tough baseball season. So I think that's a big part of it too, is that the fences are coming in, and guys that maybe want to up their home run total a little bit and realize, hey, I only hit 12 home runs and I'm kind of on the downslide, and maybe now I have the potential for 20. I think that's a big deal. Now we're talking about the hitter side of things, right? I mean, for hitters, I think it's kind of a positive thing. By the way, this is CalvaryWarriors.com. I made sure I looked it up at the break.
Okay.
It's CalvaryWarriors.com. I didn't want to mess that up. But I think if I'm a free agent and I would have any type of ability to hit home runs, I would have to put Kansas City in the mix now.
Yeah. Okay. How about you? What do you think free agency? What does it do for that, David?
I mean, I think money is still the most important thing, right? So if the Royals pay more, they're going to get the guy. I think where it helps them is players, an Adolis Garcia, for example, which maybe not the best example, because I think the Royals 100% knew that they were doing this when they were courting Adolis Garcia, and they probably told him, although maybe he wanted to see it before he did it. But a guy like him who wants to rebuild value and is a home run hitter was not coming to Kansas City. You're not coming to the Royals, to Kansas City, to play 81 games in a park where your home runs are suppressed. You just aren't. And I mean, the best power hitters can still hit in Kauffman Stadium. And obviously, we've seen Salvi hit 48 home runs in the season. Vinny hit 32. It's not like you can't hit a home run. It's just harder. And if you're trying to rebuild value, you don't want harder. You want easier. So I think that'll help there. I think it'll probably help with the marginal guys too. The 2-3 year deals, the 7-year deals aren't going to change anything. You've gotten paid. You don't care. I mean, you care, but it's not really about building value for the next contract. I do think it might scare off a couple pitchers. I don't know that. Again, it's not going to be it's not going to be a launching pad. It's going to be more neutral. So I don't think it's going to be too terrible. And I think you talked about this on your show a couple of days ago, Soren, that let's stop talking about it being impossible to pitch in a small park. The Astros can pitch. The Red Sox have been able to pitch. The Yankees have been able to pitch. Let me back up a little bit. When people have asked me before, what do you want? What kind of dimensions do you want in the new park? And I've said, I want a place for a pitcher to pitch and a hitter to hit. Give me some extreme, not like an extreme necessarily, but give me a place where a hitter can hit the ball and hit a home run, and where a pitcher can keep the ball and be okay. I think this does it. I keep coming back to the center field. I think that helps. And so it allows a pitcher a place that he can keep the ball, and it doesn't fly out of the park like crazy. So I don't think it'll hurt too bad, but I do think that there might be some initial concerns from pitching.
How about the type of player you're looking to develop, both hitter and pitcher, Les? I mean, I'm a believer that they looked at what Jack Caglione was doing and said, this works, right? Like, and I think they'd already made the movement towards putting more emphasis on power, putting more emphasis on base. And if you get more guys on base and then a guy can hit it over the wall, that's called a 3-run homer, and that's a big advantage for your offense. I mean, I think they'd kind of already shifted towards this, and this just goes more towards what they were already doing. But how would you tweak if you were running the scouting department as far as are you more on the ground ball pitchers, more power, more strikeouts? What are you tweaking?
I would definitely be on the ground ball side. On the pitching side, you want guys that can develop into, or for free agents or veteran guys that's already they're used to the ground ball side. I mean, I think it definitely accentuates movement, or it prioritizes is a better word, movement for pitchers, especially young pitchers. Because again, sometimes you try to throw too hard and you throw it flat, and really good big league hitters hammer that stuff, even if it's 100 miles an hour. So maybe not as much, but it's still doable, especially with the superstar guys. And so I think spring training is going to look a little bit different on the pitching side, where they're going to really hit spots. And I know you think, well, they always do that. Well, yeah, sure, they always do that, but which is a universal thing. Hit spots, have good movement, but now they're going to spend a lot more time doing it. Maybe tweaking guys with grip, release points, whatever it may be, throwing inside a lot more. And sometimes we don't do that. We've seen a lot of pitchers sometimes that will pick and try to hit corners, and an umpire's not giving it to them, and then their walks go up, and then they get frustrated. Then they serve one right down the middle after the couple walks they gave up, and now they gave up a 3-run home run. So I think it's going to be really pitch heavy now in spring training in relation to that. And I think on the hitting side, what you're developing, I would love to have been, now that the hitting coaches look a little bit different for the Royals, in the different philosophies that might come into play, where it's that everybody's got an opportunity to share their thoughts now. And so it's not just, this is the way we're going and you just have to listen to me. The one thing that nobody wants is a long swing, because big league pitching will eat that alive. I don't want to hear, man, I don't want to go back into the season and hear the phrase launch angle, launch angle, launch angle. I get so tired of hearing that, not necessarily on the number analytic side of it, but just the way the swing goes, where instead of here, now it's here and here. That's not going to go well for anybody. That's just a bunch of pop-ups and strikeouts. But I would like to maybe have them focus on understanding that fly balls may go a little bit more. We don't want to be fly ball hitters, but you can take a little bit more early in the count on sinkers down and in, because that's the emphasis, I think, in spring training too. Let's do some inner squad and avoid hitting into double plays, because if you can avoid that, then you're going to hit more line drives, which are going to translate into more home runs with fences moved in.
David, how about you? Player, you looking at something different, or is this not? You called it kind of a mild change. Does it adjust anything you're doing as far as the scouting department?
Well, no, I mean, I think it's interesting that I think the Royals hitters are taught gap to gap because there's room to get doubles at Kauffman Stadium. That's the teaching, and so I think that they're actually a little bit, and this is part of the R&D on it, that they're uniquely qualified to excel because they brought in the alleys. that all of a sudden these guys are taught to hit here, and they're not taught to yank the ball. And so they're actually going to benefit more than other teams maybe would have if they made this move. So
right now, just so you guys know, Kevin Seitzer's probably shaking his head because he's been the gap-to-gap guy forever.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Inside the ball.
Yeah,
I know. But so from that side, I don't know that there's a whole lot that you change on the hitting side because I do think they've started to make this move. I mean, you look at some draft picks: Jensen, Blake Mitchell, Jack Caglione, Josh Hammond. These guys are they're going for the bats. They've changed that thought process before this. On the pitching side, Les, I think you hit it right on the head, the movement, because one of the things that you have to be more careful of, you can give up a rocket at Kauffman Stadium before now, and it gets caught at the wall. We've seen it. We've seen, I don't know how many hitters have come in here, hit a ball, started their trot, and looked up, and the ball was caught, and they were like, what happened? And Royals hitters too. You don't have that luxury anymore. I think that all this is the biggest thing this is doing is taking away the ability to make a huge mistake and live with it as often as they had. So yes, more movement, less barrels allowed, more mishits, so things along those lines. And that's one of the reasons why you look at a guy like why I'm worried about Carlos Estevez. He gives up a lot of barrels. He does. And he got a lot of them were to the middle of the park, which those won't be impacted at all. But I think you get those guys, and that's Matt Strom gets a lot of chase, a lot of swing and miss. And chase doesn't always mean swing and miss. It means bad contact sometimes too. Mm-hmm. Bad contact doesn't go out of the park. And this isn't a change that it's not Yankee Stadium where you can hit a ball off the end of your bat and it goes 315 feet and it's over the wall. So I think that's the biggest thing on the pitching side is prioritize movement, barrel missing, things along those lines. And we've seen it with the acquisitions.
Yeah. Is this done? I mean, partially just as the trial run for what they're going to do for a new stadium. Let's get some data on this. I mean, I thought it was interesting. We heard Daniel Mack talk about elevation, wind, temperature were all things that they were looking at. We know the old adage, the ball really flies when it gets hotter. That's something all baseball fans are conditioned to and have understood just from an eye test, even without Daniel Mack's giant brain, multiple degrees, and huge analytics department. I'm a huge Daniel Mack fan, by the way. And I thought it was great that he was up there explaining things at the press conference as well. But like what you're going to do for a new stadium will be at a different location, right? The elevation will be basically the same. But do you think this is like, okay, let's see what this looks like and then let's tweak it? Because for me, one of the things Daniel also said, Les, was, well, it keeps the, what is it? The continuity. What is it? The uniformity. What's the word for it? Symmetrical. The symmetrical shape. I'm not for symmetrical. I'm for quirky. I like it when there's little juts and turns and those kind of things. But they at least get a look. This is a trial run. How often do you get a chance to play in the sandbox and take a look at what the house is going to look like first? I mean, they're getting that chance here.
Well, and I agree as the fan side. Now the fan side about the different look, asymmetrical versus symmetrical. But as those three guys that have to play outfield during the game, I mean, yeah, you get used to the park, but those little quirks and juts and little things here and there, man, they can mess with you. They can mess with your shoulders and your nose, personally speaking. Right. So, yeah. It could be a dry run. This team is going to look different in 5 years. So I think that as you get to 28 and 29, they'll know what type of player, but obviously the construction is going to have to start before then. I do feel like at the new stadium, this is probably where they're going to stay. Because again, this is Kansas City. It's smaller market. A new stadium, wherever it goes itself, will be a draw. But yeah, I don't know that it has for me a huge impact on. Okay, the fences are moved in, and so this is going to be our dry run, and we may move them back again when we build the new stadium. I think they're probably going to stay at these dimensions now, based on the fact that it's Kansas City.
You mentioned your nose and your shoulder. Like yes. What happened there?
Well, I think visually you can probably see the whole nose thing, but There was I hadn't played a lot, and I was running a ball down in the gap in Kansas City. And that warning track doesn't make a lot of noise because it's that sponge. And I don't care if you're a big league outfielder, you can run. I mean, I was a guy that could run fast. I had good times. I was a college kick and punt returner, so I had speed. So you can't slow down. And when you're thinking about running down a ball, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to be looking up here and then feeling for the warning track and then slow down within 2 steps and not crash into the wall. So the first one, I caught a ball in stride in right center. And as I caught the ball, turned, and the wall was right there. And I slammed nose first into it and got a little bit of a turn, right there. And then the big injury was literally in Oakland. I was trying to work the wall, but it was new. And I think it was the first game of the series. We hadn't played in Oakland before, and I hadn't certainly played in Oakland before as a rookie. So I was trying to work the wall in batting practice and learn about it. And that was the day that Bob Boone said, "Hey, right field now is yours. You will be starting in right field for the foreseeable future. It's just going to be yours. Don't stress about average. Just go out there and play. Right field's yours." First inning, instead of trying to get my foot into the wall, it was closer. So as I went to step, my foot caught too early and I went into the wall. And so, this is my shoulder joint right here. My shoulder hits the wall and my collarbone pops up. And it didn't come out of the skin. It was still in the skin. And actually right here, my collarbone on my right side still is not attached because of that, because it would have probably ended my career. But again, because I wasn't used to the fence and didn't have a lot of time learning the dimensions, learning the warning track, it ended up costing me about 3 months of the season and possibly a lot of years on my big league career, literally in the first inning when right field was mine to now play. So, that's all part of it. And so that's why I get concerned. David, we were kind of in that text thread talking about it. They're going to move those fences in while the Royals are down in spring training, right? And so then when they come back, usually there's those couple of workout days, but the Royals start on the road, so they don't get those. So they're going to come back in, and maybe there's an off day or not, maybe one day, but one day, a series or a week is not enough for outfielders to get comfortable with new dimensions, especially like an Isbell or those guys that play every day. So it can be tough, and that's a concern for me.
On that count, I'm not positive on this, but I think they have to be probably almost done with bringing those things in.
Okay, I hadn't seen construction.
They were doing it the other day.
Okay. I heard some rumblings not too long ago about some things that were going on, and I'll be honest with you, I failed. I should have dug deeper into what's going on out there? And I thought, oh well, just maintenance. What are they going to put into a ballpark they're leaving?
Well,
right.
Even if the Royals outfielders fly into Kansas City before they fly to spring training, look, we've had an incredible winter so far. We're going to get hit with some freezing temperatures.
It's coming up, I think, Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to happen. And so that being said, you're not going to go out there when it's 10 degrees and work the wall. And even if you do, it's not the same as when it's even just 50 degrees and you're out there in live action, really trying to work it, the caroms, how it's going to, and it's not just moving in 10 feet. The walls are going to drop a little bit down to 8.5 feet, right? I think that they said the walls are going to come shorter. So now you're going to be able to get up, get over the wall, maybe try to rob a home run or something. That's rarely happens. Cool when it does. So you're still not, even if you fly in to do it, the conditions aren't going to be right. So your first legitimate time to get used to it is going to be already when the season starts. And again, that's a concern for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think they are on the road and these guys aren't going to get a look at it. I mean, if you're not familiar,
they will be here January 31st for the Royals rally. So maybe that's the time.
Yeah. I mean, so that might be when they're all headed out there. Like, okay, guys, let's get a look at what we're doing here, because we're gonna be crashing into this thing. Do you think they set up the practice field? The big one where they do all the infield and batting practice and Surprise. You think they move the walls there to make it equal? Maybe.
I mean, you could put it.
That would make sense.
You can put a temporary fence in, but I don't know that you can put it. I've never seen a temporary fence that can simulate that.
No. Well, I wonder if they just move it, if they just change the dimensions to equal Kauffman Stadium.
I'll bet they do.
That they probably will.
The Surprise Stadium doesn't have the same dimensions because you can't in Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, you got two teams sharing it too. So
right, but their practice field, the one right off the parking lot, off what is it, Bullard, or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Look, here's
that would make
the deal.
sense.
They're athletes, and they'll adjust, and they'll be fine, and most likely no one's going to get hurt. I'm just saying that if it's in the back of your mind, then oftentimes if I'm running into a gap where I smoke my nose against the wall, these guys, they might pull up just a little
Yeah.
bit
Yeah.
because they're used to
Or is
something a
it-
little bit. Is it there? Is it there? Is it there? So that can equate to early in the season until you get used to it. Some mental mistakes as opposed to the physical errors, and so that's reality.
For sure, and we'll
Was
talk
it-
about that. About some of the guys that are going to play it and what it's going to do for them. We'll do it after we hear from our friends at Whataburger.
This isn't just any burger run. This is a burger run for Whataburger Sweet and Spicy Bacon Burger. 2 fresh all-beef patties with melty cheese, grilled onions, crispy bacon, and sweet and spicy pepper sauce. One for you, one for him, and one for your unofficial roommate, Brad. Always order an extra. For Brad. The all-time favorite sweet and spicy bacon burger from Whataburger. Just like you like it.
Northland Injury Law, Kansas City's Google 5-star rated personal injury lawyers, serving KC for more than 40 years, voted Kansas City's #1 accident lawyers, helping people with serious injuries from car accidents, work accidents, falls, and other personal injuries. Northland Injury Law doesn't get paid unless they get money for their client. Don't wait, get compensated now. If you have a case, text HURT to 22222. That's HURT to 22222, or call 816-400-HURT. That's 816-400-4878. The choice of a lawyer is an important one and should not be based solely upon advertisements. How about it? I mean, Jack Caglione, get easier for him, less ground for him to cover on this. Michael Massey running around the outfield potentially. I mean, as of right now, they haven't gotten an everyday outfielder, so it looks like a lot of Isaac Collins and sprinkling in guys that they think are going to fit well. I mean, is this a move that is this a statement that, hey, if contract's coming for Vinny Pasquantino and Jack Caglione's an outfielder here moving forward? Les, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Going to have a quick education on it. I think that will help a little bit. When the fences come in, it doesn't necessarily mean that you come in positionally either. You can still play the same depth if you're not used to it. Now, Kyle Isbell is such a good defender that he can kind of move around everywhere depending on the hitter. And they do that. You always see them looking at the card in their pocket and they pull it out. Hey, I'm going to play this hitter this way, this way, this way. But a guy like Jack, who's still learning how to be a comfortable outfielder, you can play a little bit deeper. That way, that most everything that's not right at you or up high to go back, you come in on. So, there are younger guys that can come in and develop, but I feel like right now with Collins, they're fairly set. I think Massey's the guy that's going to be out there. I don't think there's going to be this huge carousel. There'll be 4 or 5 maybe, but specifically 4 guys that'll be out there.
What do you think? Is this Jack Caglione? Is this a Jack Caglione wall?
Doesn't hurt. I mean, I don't think any of this is for one particular player. I think again, it's about a neutral playing field. It's about being much more like other fields they go to, but it doesn't hurt. And 10 less feet to cover, which I don't know what the square footage. Have they put out a square footage yet? Because I know they were like 100.
I know they said they would still be in the top 10.
Top 10. So it's still, but again, how much of that is because of center field, which you feel good about Kyle Isbell defensively there. So it doesn't hurt. It does not hurt to force to not have to, these guys have to run as much. I believe the curved corner in the corner will still be there, which is always a problem for some outfielders. And there's also some of that weird, more in left field. Alex Gordon talked about this a lot, that when they put the Hall of Fame up, it added this weird, the ball would come back. And so a lot of outfielders give up on balls in the corner. But Alex Gordon never did because he knew it better. That's not going to change, but less ground to cover makes it easier. That's for sure.
Yeah. The center field part of the equation. What Les? I know Daniel Mack said that the numbers say that balls are consistently hit hard. They're hit harder and more consistently to center field, and everyone puts that to a good batter's eye. But back there, and they didn't want to take that away.
Mm-hmm.
But why not? Like I guess to me, I understand, David kind of started us off talking about for 81 games, you're tweaked one way and then you're hurt going another one. But why not also in center field if they're hit hard and great? So why not a few more home runs in center field?
Yeah, I don't know the analytics and numbers on it. There's not a lot of home runs that go to center field. I feel like as much as the alleys or pull sides. At least I think. Again, you could prove me wrong with the analytics part of it, but as a player, I feel like a lot of it was more gap than it was dead center field home runs for obvious reasons. It's further away, so I don't know that that would have mattered as much. But I will say again, going to a park and I'm taking batting practice. And right away in batting practice, there are stadiums, or there used to be stadiums, or even minor league parks or stadiums that you go there and like, man, I do not see well here. I don't see the ball off the pitcher side, or man, I can hit lefties no problem because of the way they come, but the righties just that little bit of movement. So the batter's eye matters a lot, and I would think that they probably talked to some of the Royals hitters and asked them what they thought about that. Because if you tinker with the hitter's vision, it's not going to go well. It's just it gets in your head. It's tough to see. You already guys throwing 97, 98, 100 miles an hour with nasty movement. It's tough enough already. It's the hardest thing to do in sports. Now add your another millisecond that you can't see it. It can be a problem. So I'm glad they didn't change that.
Yeah, it's to me, uh, I like the home runs. I like the smaller park. I think it actually, when they talk about pitching, like what it's going to do for pitching, David, I think it puts more of an emphasis on pitching. I think good pitching is good pitching, and there's not going to be there's not going to be anything that like I don't think Pedro Martinez was getting away with like balls being caught 2 feet in front of the wall, right? Like if you're a great pitcher, you're a great pitcher. So for me, I'm all about adding the excitement all around, right? Like and to me, I think home runs a little bit easier. Um, I think it's easier to find nowadays. So, like, are you inching towards something that you should have been taking big steps towards? I guess that would be my question, David.
I was just looking this up because I hadn't done it before, but I should have. Let me
The
give you some
center
numbers.
field numbers.
The center field numbers. So
I saw
There
your
it
eyes
is.
light up when Les said that.
This is going back and forth. So 151 home runs were hit at Kauffman Stadium last year, 41 to dead center. That's, I don't know the percentage because I literally just wrote it down, but it's more than 25%. All around baseball, of the 4492, 1158 were hit to center, which is roughly 25%. So a higher percentage of home runs in the park were hit to center in Kauffman Stadium than around baseball, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's part of the calculation there. That, hey, they're already getting home runs here at a higher rate than most other center fields. So, you'd have to take out like Detroit and Miami is deep. Houston's still deep in center field. So, and they're outliers. But I wonder if that's a big reason why. I also like having a spot that is for pitchers. I like having a spot that's for hitters and a spot that's for pitchers. And you say, hey, we're going to be able to hit a home run to left center and right center. We're from the auxiliary scoreboard to the end of the bullpen gate is for us. Everywhere else is for the pitchers. And I kind of like that.
I like that. I think that's fair. How about less what they're going to give up in singles and doubles? Like, what's it going to do to the batter's mindset? Because Vinny Pasquantino, he talked about the lost triples. I don't know if you saw Brent Rooker, who played together. It's like, oh man, I'm really, really feeling for you for all those lost triples, right? But the guys that do hit a lot of triples, there's going to be a loss there. But some of the numbers that were there is like, okay, you're gaining 5 home runs, but you're losing 4 doubles and a single. Like it is kind of just a trade for it. What does that do to the mindset, the psyche of the hitter? Do they now load up? Do they get even more home runs because they feel like they can get there, so they load up with a home run swing? And does that drag the other stuff down even more than we would expect off just trading the landing spot for the hits that have happened previous to now?
Yeah, I think it's a mindset more than anything. When they just because they would move the fences in for me, I was a doubles and triples guy based on speed. So it might be a little bit shorter, but if I shoot the gap, I'm just going to keep getting out of the box harder. As soon as I make contact, I'm going to be thinking, okay, I shot the gap. I'm going for 3. Now, yeah, it might take those numbers down a little bit, but you can score from second just as much as you can score from third. Maybe not. There's not as many, but still, you can score from there. So it again, this is a numbers analytics thing. It wouldn't affect me as a player in my mindset because I'm still going to get triples. and there's nothing wrong with maybe a few more doubles and a couple less triples. If I've got guys behind me that can drive in runs, and with the fences in, I'm naturally every guy's got a chance now versus, oh, we're at the 7, 8, 9. We don't have any home runs. Everybody's got a shot now. So sure, the numbers might be a little bit different, but again, that the fences in adds the opportunity for guys behind those guys that don't hit as many triples that used to now to drive in more runs. So in one you lose, but another you gain.
Yeah. What do you think? Losing the singles and doubles is going to do what to the players, to the fans, to the game, to the way Matt Quatraro manages? I mean, is that part of the calculus that people aren't factoring in?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably going to be a wash ultimately in the end because again, they're not coming in 25 feet. It's going to be 379 to the alleys, which I think is still. I looked at, and it's hard to find information. If I had gone to every team website, I could have done it, but I think it's still like the middle of the pack in terms of distance to the alleys. So it's not wildly shallow or anything. But yeah, you're going to gain, like Les said, some RBI opportunities, some home runs. I don't think it changes too much. Again, like we talked about, it's still top 10 in square footage in the outfield. It's still a big park. It's not going from a big park to a small park. It's going from a big park to a smaller park. So I don't think it makes that big of a difference in terms of mindset. I mean, you might see a guy or two. You might. I think it helps more than it hurts.
I think it helps Jonathan India. Just sorry to interrupt you, but I mean, we've talked about him and how the ballpark was supposedly in his head when he came over from Cincinnati. Doesn't it give him?
He was exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, I mean, he's the guy who I think it helps mentally more than anybody. Anybody coming from a small park to Kauffman Stadium and from Omaha to Kauffman Stadium. I mean, come on, you go from Omaha to Kansas City and you went from a park where you could like fart on a ball and it goes out, and then you come to Kansas City and you hit a rocket and it doesn't go out. It's a mental game. Your point about Quatraro managing differently. We talked about, was it last week? We talked about his extension. I think it was. And I talked about he pinch runs too early. He pinch it. I think sometimes he makes some moves too early. I wonder if he'd be a little more hesitant to take Vinny Pasquantino out or Salvador Perez out, knowing that it's a little easier to hit a home run when you're down by 2 in the 9th than it was a year ago.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think it's a great point. And I do, and you were talking about Michael Massey earlier, Les. I think it is the Indias. It's the power hitters, that's their swing, right? And it's the guys that, if they get a hold of one, it can go, that get really frustrated. I mean, I would think that's the up and down, because if you can hit the ball over the wall, Jack Caglione misses, like, so what? I've got 400 more coming, right? Like, but when you're a guy that's like, I'm like 15, like I need everyone I can get. Right. If I can get to 20, man, what am I going to do in contract negotiations if they're in a contract year or whatever? I do think that's the mental side. And I think Maikel Garcia is an interesting one, because we saw him hit a couple of home runs last to start 24. And it was like, oh, has he found power? And did he chase the home run? Did he like, okay, yeah, I've got it. Here we go. And he didn't end up having the kind of year he had in 25. Does that play into his head? And does he start to say, okay, my warning track power is now power. Let's go get this. And maybe even it's just like I said, as he fills out, Maikel Garcia does become a guy that can have 25 home runs and while staying within his swing. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to watch, but as David said, for just 5 years, but it's going to be interesting to watch. We're going to watch the most valuable years of Maikel Garcia happen in this alignment, in this configuration. He's an interesting one as well.
Yeah, I'd like to sit down with Jonathan India and ask him a couple questions, like an interview of, okay, was it the stadium that, not that he would, I'm sure he would put the blame on himself that if I had a bad year, it was on me. But if the conversation turned to, well, the stadium got in my head a little bit, I understand it, but that's on Jonathan India. There's a difference between the mental side and being confident. If you're a confident hitter, then the dimensions of your ballpark should not matter. Are they going to change your numbers maybe a little bit? Sure. But if you start trying to change your swing, okay, they're in, so now I'm going to tip that shoulder a little bit, and it is a rare big league hitter that can do that and be able to be just as successful if they're coming off of a successful season. If Jonathan India let the dimensions last year get in his head so he didn't have a good year, that's completely on him, and he was carrying past at bats and future expectations up to every single at bat, and that's just impossible to do. I mean, I've always said this: when you're a hitter and you go up to the plate, you want to have a plan, but you also have to be caveman dumb. Like I'm me see ball, me hit the ball, me react, me trust myself. That's about it. And I've said that for years because you start getting in your own head. You're a little bit late. You're trying too hard. You put yourself into a slump, and so that the mental side of the fear, the negative based thinking, should never come into play. Now it's hard. It's a grind. It's a long game. You have to fight against that, and it's going to happen. You got to shrink it as much as you can, and so you have to become a confident hitter. Like I'm going into this season, if I'm a Royals guy, that's not a Vinny, not a Salvi, not a Bobby Witt, not a Garcia, but I'm a guy that the fences came in. I'm just going to focus on hitting the ball hard. Home runs will take care of themselves. Doubles, whatever. It's going to take care of itself because once I change, it's over.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting. All right. So how many more do they hit? Right. David looked up the Royals record for home runs in a season is 193. They did it back in 2017. What they've piled up lately, last year, 159, 170 and 24, 163 and 23, 138 in 22, 163 and 21. Then you get to this shortened COVID year. So it doesn't really matter. So we've got a high water mark of 193. Lately the average has probably been about, if I eyeballed this, 160
upper 150s, right?
Yeah, around 160, somewhere in that range. What do you think this does overall to the team, David?
500 home runs. No, that's probably not right. No, what did they say? A home run per series, so that's 27-ish more home runs. I kind of am a little. I'll be curious to see what happens in April. The ball doesn't fly in Kansas City in April. It just doesn't. We can hate that, but it's true. But I think it's really going to fly in the summer. I'm going to say, I think you get 35 more home runs over the course of a season, and I think the bulk of them are going to come.
Don't shirk your duties.
Okay, so what were they at in 2025? They hit 70 home runs. I think they get to 100 to 105 at home, and I think they hit 80 something on the road. So it puts them at around 190. I'll say. I think you see the bulk of them though from the guys we're talking about. Vinny,
you said 190. Is that your number?
I'll give it 190. Fine. You wanted me to put a number on there? I'm sick. I'm sick of you yelling at me to not ride a fence.
I'm putting you down for 190.
But I think you're going to see the bulk from like Vinny, Salvi, Bobby Witt, Garcia. I also think there's going to be a bump, and maybe the bump is more because you're going to get a full year of Caglione and Jensen. That helps too, because they replaced some guys who didn't hit home runs.
Yes, that's a good point. Les, you got a number?
I'm going to go 185 because I think there's going to be a bump in some numbers, but I think it's going to get in their head a little bit, and so they might struggle a little bit, and so that might drag that number down a little bit because you don't always get 9 guys that are hot at the same time. I think that number will still be low, but I'm a conservative bet of 185.
I am interested in looking back at this and how we do on it. I'm going to take 195. I'm going to go for a new club record.
I thought you were going 191 to the prices right on me.
No, you know what? That's a good point. I probably should go like 200 and be bold and say, they really get it done. I'm with Les. In fact, you know what? Bite me. I'll go 200. Let's go an even 200.
You stand on your
201. I'm 201 now.
You're going to go big, go bold, right? So I'll go 200, and we can talk about how you just tiptoed past Les's 185, David. You're now the guy.
I went first.
I went first. Yeah, but you could see what Les was going to do. It was
true. I saw his paper.
Face.
I was cheating.
Yeah, I'm going to go 200, and I think it's as much like I'm going to bank on Jack Caglione and Carter Jensen. And then I think there is if they can hit the ball over the wall, everybody else around them benefits. I just remember, there were lots of really good teams on those 90s Indians. But I just remember how Tomei, Bell, Manny Ramirez, Carlos Baerga, Robbie Alomar, they all fed off each other, right? And each one's success rose the whole boat. And I think that is one of the things that's going to make Bobby Witt Jr.'s. I wonder if there is a way to test how far ahead of the rest of his team one guy was. Like how often, because we know when Mickey Mantle or when Roger Maris hit 61, Mickey Mantle hit 54. I mean, there was a they were chugging along. Probably Aaron Judge, just with his massive numbers, and Barry Bonds are going to be it. But I wonder how much Bobby Witt Jr.'s MVP season, just outdistancing everyone on his team, like percentage-wise, just blows people away. I think as everybody gets a little bit more, everybody gains even more. I think there's what each individual will do, and then I think there's what that does to the collective and bringing everybody up. So I do think it's going to be significant. I think we're going to notice. And I think, the mental side, and we may only see it for 1 year, right? I think it's going to go one way or the other. Either less, you're right. It's going to get a bunch of guys' heads. They're going to try to hit home runs, and we're not going to see squat. And we're going to be like, this was a bunch of ado about nothing. Or it's going to get in their heads positively. They're going to relax. They're going to hit even better instead of trying to press. In reality, you're probably right, Les. It'll help some. It'll hurt some, and it won't go there. But why not? I'll go 200. I'll go 200 home runs. New record.
To your point, let me piggyback off this to take credit for it.
Always a wise decision.
I that is a really good point about guys hitting more home runs, because now all of a sudden pitchers are working harder, and it makes them more tired. Like I think that there is a lot of cumulative effect. Now that impacts the Royals pitching too. So
sure,
there's that side of it. But as guys are hitting more confidence, all of a sudden this lineup gets deeper. It's what we talk about. You want a deeper lineup because part of it is because it makes it harder to pitch. And the Royals lineup for so much of the 2025 season was, all right, if I can get through Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, and Maikel Garcia, and this includes Salvador Perez, I don't need to worry about the others. But yeah, I think that'll be huge.
Yeah. Unless you were getting ready to say something on that front about the all boats rise with the tide. I mean, do you think that is going to be the effect that we see there?
Yeah, I think for the most part, hitting is contagious. Pitching is contagious. Good stuff is contagious. I just think that leadership is going to have to come in if people start getting a little bit too antsy and whatever. And so your veteran leadership is going to have to step in and keep things calm, because again, two of those hitting coaches are new, and so they haven't really established that trust yet. So it's going to have to be veteran leadership, keep things on a level playing field there in their heads.
Yeah. I think Matt Contreras, I think they've done the numbers. They've done the math. I don't think this was a reactionary deal. I expect it to work over the long run. So I think it'll be good. I think it'll be good. Listen, don't forget, you can always support the Kaufman Corner podcast by supporting our great sponsors, our friends like Whataburger. They're open 24 hours, serving breakfast 11 p to 11 a. Kansas City's best when it comes to accident law, Northland Injury Law. Google 5-star rated. Check them out online at Northland Injury Law. Also by our friends at Greenlight, locations all over Missouri. More on the way for all your cannabis needs. And our friends at Frontier Justice. You can find them online at Frontier Justice or frontier-justice.com. For David Lesky from Inside the Crown, for Les Norman from Breaking the Norm, I'm Soren Petro saying thank you very much for joining us here on Kaufman Corner.